So refugees in Uganda are going back to their countries. Specifically now, people from South Sudan are returning to South Sudan. A lot of people from South Sudan are returning to South Sudan because they will be voting in December. They will be holding elections in December, and they are confident and feel good about what's happening in the country, and they feel like they can participate. And that's a good thing. Congratulations. Let's clap hands. Yeah. I mean, you cannot go on refuge for the rest of your life. You have to go back home at some point. So, South Sudan is a country that's gone through a lot of things, fellas. I'm sure you watched that movie, John Garang. Yeah, the country has gone through a lot of things. Sudan itself used to be one country. I think it was the biggest country in Africa at the time. Sudan had two distinct types of human beings. You get some that were light-skinned. They looked very close to Arabs. And others that were very, very dark-skinned, like much darker than me. Some of them are this dark. And I'm not even kidding. And it's beautiful. So it's got to a point where, for some reason, the Arab people side felt superior to the dark skin side, which they treated as lower grade human beings. You know, it's the same song everywhere in the world. And they had too many issues, too many differences, and they got to a point of separation. So they slashed the country into two different countries. And unfortunately, when they slashed the country, the north became Arab, the southern part became black. But the southern parts, people started fighting each other. Yeah, that's sad, fellas. I mean, you are fighting because you're saying these are the people that look like Arabs, don't seem to like us very much. Let's slash the country into two so they can keep their part. We're going to keep our part. Now, you black people within yourself, you start fighting each other. Why? And this is crazy because this reminds me of what one apartheid leader said. White apartheid leader. I think it's Leclerc. He says something along the lines of, if you give black people power, they're going to use power against each other. If you give black people guns, they're going to shoot each other. If you give black people opportunities, they're going to take opportunities for themselves and not share it with everybody else. Sometimes you sit down and you reflect logically with no emotions. He was telling the truth. I know we all wish it wasn't the truth. If you go to South Africa today, look how black criminals treat other black well-to-do people. It's sad. Black people use stuff against their own people. And this is crazy. Now, that's not our subject. So when black Sudanese fought each other, many of them ran away. Some went to Kenya, some entered northern Congo, some came to Sudan. And Sudanese people live in Uganda with no issue at all. There's one thing I like about Uganda. Uganda has given many refugees and many African nationals opportunities to stay there. Some of them sort of with no paper. Just be okay. Just don't break the rules. Like, hey, dude, you can be here. You can be cool. You can start whatever legal thing you want to start. But just don't do crime, okay? Don't fight somebody. Don't act crazy. You're fine. So you go to Uganda, you find a lot of people from all over the place. You find Somalians, because Somalia was mayhem too. It was crazy. It was hot. There was war in Somalia, and many Somalians went to Kenya. Some went to Uganda. You find Somalians. There's an area in Uganda that's just Somalians. Somalians and Somalians. And trust me, not all of them are documented. But they're fine because they're not causing any trouble. So that's one of the things that the Ugandan president has done really good. He has given many African opportunities to be in the country, to commerce, to work, to be fine. But do not do crime. Don't do crime. You can be here. You can start anything you like. You can start a business. You see a lot of Ethiopians with restaurants. Yes, most of the nice restaurants you find in Uganda are owned by Ethiopians. So I think we as Africans need to congratulate Uganda for the work they've done. Okay, so if you want to live in a camp, like a refugee camp where they give you some money, some food at the end of the month, you can do that. But that's very difficult. If you want to live in town and trying to find your hustle and build slowly without doing any crime, they can give you that opportunity too. So there's no sense of xenophobia or you don't belong here or get out of my country in Uganda, because they just understand that Africans are just Africans. Provided you bring in something positive to the economy and you are legal, it's cool. You can tag along and you can proceed. Uganda has the most refugees right now, I believe, in Africa. About 1.7 million people from other African nations. Yeah. Congolese, you name them. They there. Sudanese. Yeah, you know Sudanese when you see them. They're tall, dark. Some of the tallest people in Africa. Ethiopians. Yeah, plenty of people live in Uganda. And I think it's good that now Sudanese feel like they want to, some of them at least feel they want to go back home, go and vote and push the country forward. And I think that's how Africans need to grow. You need growth. You've been through war. The war is over now. It's time to go home and build and give other people opportunities to breathe and recuperate their land, recuperate their country. And that's, for me, it's very inspiring. Okay, the former president of Zambia is complaining. Former President Lungu is accusing the current president, and the Zambian police inspector general of plotting to arrest and detain him without justification. Former president of Zambia accusing the current president and the chief of police to try to detain him without justification. Fellas, this is crazy. I don't know why this only happens in Africa when the president trying to arrest another president. Why don't these things happen in America? I ask. So, why are they trying to arrest him if they are trying to arrest him? Apparently, Mr. Lungu, who is the previous president, made a controversial suggestion of a possible government change before the 2026 elections. So in other words, he says something along the lines that the current president will not reach the end of his mandate. So somebody else will take over. So they want to understand, why do you say that? Where do you get that information from? And again, you're a former president, so you certainly know something. Or maybe you are involved in some sort of a plot to overthrow this president. And now he's very angry. Why are they trying to arrest him? And let me remind you here that his wife was accused of corruption in the past. So they can possibly bring all these cases against him. So my take at this is very simple. For those of you who don't understand and you live in America or Jamaica or the Caribbean, in most African countries, the president is like the king. Everything belongs to him. He's got your life within his hand. He can just say, take him out. You're out. No one is going to speak. They can go wherever they like. They can go to justice. There's nothing that can happen. The president is like the king in Africa. He takes the decision. He decides everything. So, unfortunately, because they feel like kings, sometimes their siblings, their wives, some of them have many wives, can be managing the energy ministry or acquiring things, without necessarily having to be accountable to the government. Now, the Zambian government has been criticized by many people to be sold to the Chinese. Is this accurate? We don't know. But all we know is China has been very involved in Zambia. China has built many buildings, including a big part of the airport, if not the entire airport. Please correct us if we're wrong. China has been very involved in the economy of Zambia. As a matter of fact, Zambia owes China a lot of money. And there are Chinese schools in Zambia, where they teach Chinese entirely. So basically, the Chinese people are coming to Zambia and teaching these kids Chinese. And some people also feel like the reason why the Chinese are coming because China is overpopulated. So China needs to move some of its people on the continent of Africa. They will stay there for many years. They will make children. And when those children are born and they are told that they were born in Zambia, do you think those children will ever want to go back to China? Possibly not. So you're going to have limited resources you have to share with the Chinese-born Zambian man. But in the meantime, China is investing into studies, investing into university, building schools, and teaching kids Chinese. Let me know how you feel about this, fellas. I think it's an interesting subject. Uganda allowing Africans to come as they want. And now Sudanese deciding to go back to Sudan because they feel it's time for them to go back. And let me know how you feel about Zambia. Is it okay for a president to be accountable for things he did in the past? It just doesn't make sense that you want him to be accountable because he made a comment that risks your position as a president. God bless.